This is Amud Yomi, Gemara in Berachos, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, and we pick it up from the bottom of Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. Tanu Ra Banan continues the Gemara trying to figure out the chiyuv of Shema in all its details. Tanu Ra Banan v'hayu. It says in Shema v'hayu and Shebi shelo yikra l'mafreya. Learns the Gemara that means you're not allowed to read it out of order. Hadvarim al levavecha, from the pasuk of Hadvarim, which continues al levavecha. Yachal, you would think take all of our shesrich kavana, that the entire first parak of Shema needs kavana. Talmud leimer ha'ila. Just these. Ad kan tzrich lekavana, become v'lechein tzrich lekavana. David Rav Eliezer. Just until these words needs kavana. What does it mean until these words? Rashi learns it means al levavecha, and Tosfos learns it means till al me'oidecha. Says Rav Eliezer, we learn out that you need kavan the first 2 or 3 psukim in the Shema. Amar Rabbi Kiva asks Rabbi Kiva, as we turn over to Gimel Amud Beis, says the pasuk, Asher anochi mitzavucha, that I am commanding in the present tense. Says Rabbi Kiva, from here we learn out that what I'm commanding you now, the whole thing needs kavana. And Tosfos says, where do we learn this out from? Because it doesn't say Asher sivi sicha, which I have commanded you, which would mean only until that point you need kavanah. From the fact that it says mitzavecha, it means going further the entire first parak. Continues the Gemara, how do we paskin like Rabbi Akiva that lamaisa shanochi mitzavecha yom, the whole first parak needs kavanah. Continues the Gemara with the same outcome, just different names. So I'm learning what we just said in a brayso that says, you have to have kavana. Once you have kavana in the first parak, Shavina Tzarech don't have any more kavana. Like we just said, the same din as Rabbi Akiva, that you need to have kavana in the first parak of Shema. Tanya Idach continues the Gemara with a new brayso. We learned in our brayso, or about 9 lines down. The first one line is Rabbi Yehuda. V'hayu. What do we learn out for there? Shleikah l'mafreya, like we said in Amud Aleph. Al levavecha. What does that teach us? Rabbi Kiva Ad Kan mitzvahs kavana. Until this point is mitzvahs kavana. Rav Zutra Ad Kan mitzvahs kavana. Excuse me. Mikan ve'ilach mitzvahs kriya. What exactly that means, we'll see in a moment. Rav Yeshaya Ad Kan mitzvahs kriya. Mikan ve'ilach mitzvahs kavana. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. What's the reason for that point and onward? You have a mitzvah just to read the Shema, to say l'daber ba, to talk in it. Dibur, talking. V'dibarta ba. Says the Gemara, hachi kamar. This is what it means. Meaning, what's the difference? Seemingly, v'dibarta ba should also teach me whether in the first parak and the second parak, both of them should have the same chiyuv to have to actually say the words of Shema. Says the Gemara, hachi kamar. Ad kan mitzvahs kavana ukriya. Until here, you need to have kavana and kriya. Until, excuse me, one second. Ad kan, until here, in the first parak of Shema, mitzvahs kriya and kavana, both. Mikan ve'elach kriya beloy kavana. You have to say the words, as it says, v'dibarta bam, but you don't have to have kavana in the second parak. Asks the Gemara in Marzucha, Maishta Ad Kan mitzvahs kavana kriya. What's the reason why you're telling me that the first parak need to have both? Because the pasuk says al levavecha v'dibarta ba. Both of them showing kavana and dibur, and you have to say the words. Hasanami, the second parak of Shema Ksiv al levavchem ledaber ba. So what's the difference? Explains the Gemara. Humi bayilelech Rav Yitzchak. You know what we need al levavcha in the second parak of Shema. The Amar v'samtim stvari ila tzricha shetei sima keneged alav, a completely different halacha. Second parak of Shema says, Alavavchem, teaching me the placement of the tefillin. That tefillin has to be placed on your arm, connected your lave, opposite your heart. So that is the first shita, that the first parak of Shema you need to read and have kavanah. The second parak, all you have to do is read, you do not have kavanah. Continues the Gemara about 15 lines down at the 2 dots. Amar Mar. Going to the shita of Rav Yeshia. Rav Yeshia, Amar. Says Rav Yeshia Ad Kan, that was all Marzucha, and now Rav Yeshia talks Ad Kan mitzvahs kriya. First parak is kriya, mikan ve'ilach mitzvahs kavana, meaning just kavana, which means to think about the words, you don't necessarily have to say them. Ask the Gemara, Maishlam mikan ve'ilach mitzvahs kavana, mishem t'chsev al levavchem. The second parak of Shema says al levavchem should be in your heart. Hachanami, in the first parak of Ksiv al levavecha, Explains the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. Ad Kam, it says Kriya Vikavana. In the first parak, you need to have both. Mikan Vedel Kavana, but like Kriya. Just Kavana, just thinking about the words is enough. Ask the Gemara, I don't understand. The Maishan Ad Kam is Kriya Ukavana. On the first parak, Tichsev Alev Avecha, Vidibarta Ba. Hasanam Yoksev Alev Havcham Nadaber Ba. Explains the Gemara, Ho Kidivrei Torah Ksiv. The second parak, when it says Alev Havcham Nadaber Ba, that's talking about Torah. Vachi Kamar Achman, this is what the Torah is teaching us. Teach your children Torah so that they will speak and learn Torah. So that is the Machlekes Mar Zutra versus Rav Yeshia. Mar Zutra saying both parakim need to be said. The first parak needs a kavana. Rav Yeshia saying both parakim need to be thought and have kavana. The first parak needs to be said as well. Now, what we do with the extra pasuk in the second parak, or Mar Zutra learns out from the din of Rav Yesi that the din of Rav Yitzchak, of the tefillin's placement needing to be Keneged Alev, whereas Rav Yosha learns a different din to teach your children Torah so that they learn the Torah. Tanu Rabbani continues the Gemara, the second medium-sized line. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. I can't speak Gavanas Alev Devir Meir. Amar Rav Alach Grameir. That's what we paskin. Tanya Subchas Omer Kol Amarich Be'echad. Marich Lo Yamav Shneisav. Amar Rachel Rachel will be Dalid. You have to be Marich in the Dalid. Amar Rav Yosha Vavachel Yachtoif Beches. Don't chap. Don't grab the Ches. Rash says the Ches Echad with an A, not with an I, not with a Shava. Rav Yirmi Av Yezek Kamed Rav Chei Barav Chazi Davi Marich Tuva. He saw that he was saying the Echad very long. Normally, Kivin Am Nichlam Alo Mazel Aru Ruchas Shmayim Sulos Riches. Once you're Mamlech and Kadosh Baruch Hu, the four directions of the world, you do not have to do anything more than that. You have to stand up for Alavecha, Ad Alavecha until Alavecha is Be'amida, Mikan Ve'elach Loi. And Amida over here doesn't necessarily mean standing, it means in one place. If Yechlan Amar Kula Parsha Kula Amida Vazu Yechlan Tamed Amar Rav Chanan Rav Yechlan Halacha Kravacha Sha'amar Misham Rav Yehuda, which we learned on the top of the Amud, which is the same sheet as Rabbi Akiva, which means that you have to say and have to have kavan in the entire first parak of Kriya Shema. Tanu Rabbani continues the Gemara, 3 lines from the wide line. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Echad. Zu Kriya Shema Shel Rabbi Yehuda. This is the Kriya Shema of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Says the Gemara, what exactly did Rabbi Yehuda Nasi do? Which Rashi over here explains before we even see what Rabbi Yehuda Nasi did. The reason was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was teaching Torah all day. So all he would do is he would take a break just to say Shema. Amar Lei, and the last second to last medium-sized line. Normally, Rav Chia Lo Chazinu Le Rabbi. The Mekabel Malchshmayim. I didn't see Rabbi. I didn't see Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. That was Mekabel Malchshmayim. But I didn't say him say Shema. Amar Le Rav Chia responded, Bar Parsi, son of nobles, calling him a lowly name. When Rabbi put his hand over his face during the shir, Mekabel Malchshmayim. At that moment, he is Mekabel Malchshmayim. He says Shema. Asks the Gemara, Chayzer v'Goimra, Oino Chayzer v'Goimra. After Rabbi would finish the shir, would he say the rest of the Shema or not? Bar Kvar Omer Eino Chayzer v'Goimra, Rav Shimber Rav Yehuda Omer Chayzer v'Goimra. Amalei Bar Kapara, the Rav Shimber Rabbi, you Rav Shimber Rabbi, you're saying he finished the Shema after the shir. Bishlam the Di Hold Amina Eino Chayzer v'Goimra. Hadn't had the Rabbi Shema to this base Yitzhak Mitzrayim. That's why every day during shir, Rabbi would find a way to include something about Yitzhak Mitzrayim during the shir. That he actually says the Shema afterwards. What's the reason why Rabbi goes at length to find a part of Shema, part of Yitzhak Mitzrayim, say during the shir? Says the Gemara, because he wants to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim at the appropriate time. Amar Rabbi Ila Bereider of Shmuel Bar Marta Mishmei Derav Amar Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad V'nenas V'sheina. And then what happens? He falls asleep. What's the halacha? Yatsa, he's Shema. Amalei Rav Nachman L'Dara Avdei. He told his servant B'Psuka Kama during the first pasuk of Shema Tzayin. V'yimitzayer me, meaning pay me. Make sure I say the first pasuk. Tfei, but more than the first pasuk. Lo Tzayin, don't pay me. Amalei Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef read the Rabbi Avoch. Heichei Have Avid. He asked him, Avoch Heichei Have Avid. What did your father do? Amalei Rav Yosef explained. B'Psuka Kama have a commissary nafshe, like we just saw that in the first pasuk. He would paint himself. He would make sure you would say it. More than that, he would not. We conclude today's shir. Amar Rav Yosef Prakton. When one is lying on his back, what is the halacha? Lo yikra krishma, should not say Shema. Says the Gemara. It sounds like mikra. It sounds like he just shouldn't read the Shema lying on his back. He's allowed to sleep on his back. But ask the Gemara. Could he curse one who slept on his back, as it brings one to inappropriate thoughts, and it can bring him to Kisho. He says the Gemara, Amri, Migna Kimasli Shabartami. With regard to sleeping, if he leans a little bit on his side, that's okay. Mikra, with regard to saying Shema, however, Afikav Damatzli Nami, also, even if he's a little bit on his side, that's also a problem. We just said that's what Rabbi Yochanan would do. Says, excuse me, that's what Rabbi Yochanan would do. Explains the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan the Balbasar, he was a little bit heavy, therefore he wasn't able to do anything more, and therefore he was allowed to lean a little bit on the side and say the Shema. I'll pick it up from Uprakim in the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.